the devil in person. So where does the devil fit in this equation? In the first part of the book, I talked about what might have affected us internally, our brain, and what resulted externally, our reality. Internally, in our brain, we had these three characteristics: forgetfulness, control, and arrogance. Forgetfulness seems to be the first characteristic Adam fell into, and the following verse says, "And we covenanted with Adam before, but he forgot, and we found in him no resolve." In another verse, Moses says, "What made me forget was the devil." When we forget, we can't see what we have, so we want more, and this state gives rise to arrogance and control. The arrogance to be better than others or even better than our nature as humans. Regarding arrogance, in this verse, the devil says to Adam and Eve, "Your Lord warned you from this tree to prevent you from becoming angels or immortals." Another verse says, the devil lured them with arrogance. And the devil promises them and has them wishing, and the only thing the devil promises is arrogance. Regarding control. This verse says, the devil whispered to him. He said, "O Adam, shall I show you the tree of immortality and never-ending control?" I see these verses mentioning these three characteristics. But before going further, it's important to share my understanding of the devil and Satan. I think Satan is called Iblis, and the devil is called Al-Shaitan. Satan was only mentioned at the time of Adam's creation, so we could view Satan as an element in creation. However, the devil is mentioned only when there is a human, a mind, or a brain to narrow it down. There is no verse where Satan interacts with people in any way. The devil's interaction was always in the form of whispers, advice, and compulsive thoughts. In a way, the devil has no presence, except in the creation of people and their brains. The devil seems to have a hard approach to life, which corresponds with a rigid and a material frame in seeing reality. When I say rigid and material, I mean it in the context I talked about in the first part of the book, which includes emotionalizing our reality and thinking. I know proposing this might make some uncomfortable. Are you saying we could be devils? Well, the idea is that we could become devils if we fall into all three characteristics, and we are not even aware of it. I hope you can see what this means. We want to materialize the devil to make of him the other, when the whole show is happening within us. The battle between good and evil and your understanding of God and the devil are all happening within you. God is not in battle with Satan or the devil, but we are, and faith is the only hope. Having said that, there is no room to emotionalize or dramatize any of this. It should simply make us humble in our lives and very careful before judging others. When we think back to these three characteristics, forgetfulness, arrogance, and control, one must wonder how our rituals help us resist and confront these characteristics. Being thankful, praying, remembering, accepting, and being humble are common rituals and habits most religious and spiritual people practice in some way or another. How we could fall into these three characteristics creates three states based on how far we might slip into darkness. If we fall into all three, we basically lose ourselves and become different beings, devil people. And that's how I break them down. First state, devil in person, harm ourselves and others, evil on ourselves and on others. It is becoming a dark being who is plunged into darkness. Second state, evil in harming ourselves. As I mentioned in the first section, materializing and emotionalizing problems that we face or creating them will build an illusion in our brain, which will then inflate and create a tunnel vision towards life. Inflating problems or blowing into knots is a state where evil harms only ourselves. Third state, evil in harming others, when we wish harm onto others, and we materialize that intention in our brains, and so we physically or verbally follow through with that intention. That's an evil that harms the other. It is described as evil because the only motive is to simply inflict harm on others. This is how I understand Surah, Al-Falaq. Say, I seek refuge in the Lord of creation, from the evil that is created, and from the evil of a dark being plunged into darkness, and from the evil of blowing into knots, and from the evil of the envier when they envy. As you may have figured, the devil becomes a collective theory to approach life, which will include many people. The only people who are othering the devil and othering the other are those who are unaware of the devil. Hajj is a Muslim ritual that is a physical journey in the hope that it will spiritually bring us closer to the Creator, Allah. In this pilgrimage we perform Rami al-Jamarat, which is stoning 3 pillars that symbolize the devil. If I were to guess what these pillars represent, I would say it's these 3 characteristics: forgetfulness, arrogance, and control. I see the ritual as putting physical effort in the hope of stoning away these 3 characteristics from within ourselves. If this is what Muslims are doing, what about everyone else? I honestly believe that under all different faiths, rituals, and philosophies, we are given 2 basic choices to start the journey. Are you thankful or not? That's it. If you're thankful, you will see more of what matters, and if you're not, you will see less. And I don't mean the visual seeing, it could be the opposite. Seeing more will get you closer, and seeing less will get you lost. So basically, if you had a religious upbringing and you're not thankful, you will drift away. And if you were brought up with no religious teachings whatsoever and you're thankful, you will get closer. That's the way it seems. A verse in the Quran says to the choice that people are given, we have granted them the way, either thankful or not thankful. Being thankful and grateful is a state that allows us to realize that we don't need more to be fulfilled. We don't want more because we have what is more. We don't want because we have. The following verse says, as your Lord declared, if you are thankful, I will grant you more. Surat al-Kawthar was directed to Prophet Muhammad, and in addition to that, this is how it could be understood by a thankful human within a society. We have given you what's more, so pray to your Lord and give. Your adversary is less. We could also understand it, as it applies to the thankful human within us, and the adversary is the unthankful person within us. We have given you what is positive, so pray to your Lord and give. Your adversary is the negative. The brain and our immediate senses. If the brain is in control of your immediate senses, everything you will perceive won't make it through to the mind, where actual growth happens. Because we are forgetful, we are impatient, so when we get information, the brain captures it and labels it. Because we want control, we add assumptions to what we label in order to build our arrogance. Then we ask, why do we feel like we're living in darkness? What I'm trying to say is that we are part of a bigger creation and we are interconnected on levels we can't perceive. We are connected in a fluid, dynamic manner, and materializing our nature is disconnecting us from that. If we watched something nice, we would say it was eye-filling. If we experienced something great that fulfilled our sight and sound, we would say it was a more fulfilling experience. If we experienced something amazing that captured 3 or more of our senses, we would say it was surreal and beyond description. So how many of our senses do we think we would need to sense the Creator? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we asked any reasonable person, they would probably say, we would need all our senses combined and maybe more. That's why I think God told Moses, you won't see me. The Creator describes His presence to us in the Quran as the beginning and the end, the inner and the outer. There is nothing like Him. He is between the individual and His heart. He is with us wherever we are, and He is closer to us than the jugular vein. How can you materialize God to satisfy one of your senses? How can the whole be divided? How can you separate the inner from the outer?